I really got about 4 general responses when it comes to pushback from one of my previous posts. And I want to kind of talk about each one generally. First one, and most important to talk about, is people that have had some sort of direct interaction with a person claiming that they were Christian and mistreating them in some kind of way. And for that, all I want to say is I'm sorry. I don't have a good excuse for it. I'm telling you, I'm sorry. That sucks. The second category is people that wanted to point out the statistical representation of Christianity in Germany during the Nazi regime and prior to World War II and then through World War II. And there's a lot of different articles you can read about the Christian response to Nazi Germany. I know that the nation itself had a high participation rate in Protestant and Catholic Christianity. But there was also several dissenters that were German that were thrown in prison or killed. So statistically speaking, the numbers do paint a certain picture, but it doesn't paint the whole picture. So it's important to think about that because we do have Christian martyrs that came out of Nazi Germany that stood up to the Hitler regime and were killed for their beliefs. Higher church bodies condemn the churches within that country that supported the Nazi regime. And as far as the Nazis themselves, while they may have claimed some Christianity at the beginning, several higher up ranking members had a lot of pagan influences or were agnostic and were moving further and further away from the religious, actual practicing Christianity and more towards manipulative strategies. Looking at the numbers of Germany itself doesn't account for all of the Christians worldwide. Really saw Hitler as this antichrist representation and a force of evil that they wanted to stand up to. And you see the overwhelming amount of like American Christians that signed up for World War II to go fight the Nazis. The third general response is kind of a silly one, which is, bro, have you America? Have you met MAGA? Have you met any of these things? And the only thing I'll say to any of that is like, if you actually pay any attention to what it was like for people going through Nazi Germany, if you've actually read books recounting from the survivors, if you've been to the Holocaust Museum, you know, even if you don't agree with what's going on in America right now, even if you want to push back on that, people aren't going through the same exact thing that they went through with Nazi Germany. When you compare everything to that, it diminishes the reality of how tragic and terrible it really was. Not to say that people aren't going through terrible things now, but it's not the same thing. Doesn't make it good, but not the same thing. And the fourth response, which is the no true Scotsman fallacy, which doesn't apply here. Inspired Philosophy did a great video on how the no true Scotsman fallacy actually works and how it doesn't work. For Christianity, we have a book, the Bible, that has specific guidelines that point you to see if somebody is actually a Christian versus just claiming Christianity and the fruits that it represents in their lives and the life change. Not to say that they will never have any bad action pop up, but you'll see a general progression over the course of their life towards representing these values more and more progressively until they get to meet their Lord and Savior. So if somebody is continually being evil or doing evil things or not changing at all, we would, in the Christian community, say that they probably don't actually know Jesus. They're more of like a cultural Christian. Which Nazi Germany is a good example of why just having cultural Christianity or cultural religion doesn't fix the problems of the nation, which some in the Christian nationalist movement think that it would. I don't think there's anything wrong with voting based off of what your morality or your religion guides you towards, but just thinking that if we force everybody to follow the rules of my religion, it'll fix the problem. That doesn't happen. We see it throughout history. And the reason that this no true Scotsman fallacy doesn't apply here is because we have a very specific example of what Christianity is by definition. So it's not like an arbitrary thing like a Scotsman, where everybody who's born a Scotsman is a Scotsman. There is a definition of what a true Christian is in the Bible, and we have that. So anybody operating outside the bounds of that, we can say you are not within Christianity. And the same with like orthodoxy of Christianity. It's why Christians can say Mormons aren't Christians, because by definition they don't fit the qualification for that. We're not goalpost shifting the definition. We have what our definition is right here in the book. So yeah, I stand by what I originally said in my post. I don't like the way that Peacemaker tried to utilize that, because you would continue to see revolt in opposition to the Nazi regime claims of loving Jesus, because real Christians don't care if Jesus was white or not.